Robert Jackson, Senator Robert Jackson is here. And, there are a lot of people who are working on this, on legislation right now. We've been working with Robert Jackson and Linda Rosenthal for some time, but we couldn't have everyone speak. So this is our first time. So I'm so glad to have our local legislators who've all had legislation passed or have bills that they have proposed. So please. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm impressed. You know why? If you turn around and look behind you, there are still more people coming in order to talk about this very, very important issue. And so, Save Our Stores Coalition, let me thank you for being an advocate on trying to make sure that our community basically has local stores that we can shop at and not having to walk by empty stores on a continuous basis. And I say that I've lived in New York my entire life, and I live in Washington Heights. And the major thoroughfare on Washington Heights where I live is 181st Street. And we used to walk by 4 or 5 empty stores within one block. And on Broadway, you can walk anywhere on Broadway around there and see 4 or 5 empty stores within 2 blocks with signs up. And then, so people asking the question, why are there empty stores? Well, in my opinion, the owners are charging too much for the people that are there. And when, besides charging too much, when someone wants a 10 or 15-year lease, and they only want to give them a 5-year lease or a 10-year lease, when they have to invest in the store and build it out, it doesn't work. But also, especially up there, and I know up there more so than Upper West Side, but we have so many vendors that basically compete with brick and mortar stores. And that is a major factor for little tiny small stores. But also, as we all know, and as I spoke earlier in an interview, you have everyone now going on the internet, going on their cell phones and ordering stuff based on discounts that they're giving to people that are going online. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately, because if you look around, in fact, I was driving to a wake of a staff member of our mother passed away, and we passed all of these junior high school kids that were going home, and they're talking on their cell phones. So no matter who you are, what age, everyone is carrying cell phones now. But one of the things that I've done when I was in the city council, now mind you, Ruth Messenger many years ago, 25, 30 years ago, put forward the Small Business Survival Bill. Now some of you that have been around a while, you know that. Well, when my staff and I discussed that, and no one had picked it up and run with it, I picked it up, and I ran with the Small Business Survival Bill under the leadership of the mayor at that time was Mike Bloomberg, and the speaker of the city council was Christine Quinn. And the Small Business Survival Bill went nowhere. And ask me why. Because the mayor was opposed to it, and the mayor is, whoever the mayor is, now is Bill de Blasio, but the mayor, whoever is the mayor, is so powerful as far as city government is concerned. And in fact, the speaker of the city council and the members all have to come together and unite in order to override, for example, a veto of the mayor. So if in fact the city council passed the bill, right, then if the mayor vetoed that bill, you have to have enough to override a veto. And so you don't need a simple majority. You need more than that. And I say to you that knowing other examples that where the mayor has vetoed, you need 3 or 4 votes more than the minimum in order to override a veto. Because the mayor, whoever it is, would pick off one or two individuals and give them some of the things that they want in their district. That's the political reality that we face. So I know that because I was there. I know that I was on the budget negotiating team in the city council. I know that I was the co-chair of the Black, Latino, and Asian caucus of the city council, 27 members out of 51. So what does that have to do with where we are now? Well, Linda Rosenthal and myself, we put forward a bill we call a vacancy tax on any owner of stores that is keeping them vacant. After 6 months, they will be taxed. Now there are other bills that has been put forward by my colleague, and let me pull it up. Brad Holloman, some of you know him. He's a state senator from the Chelsea area, and he comes up to the Upper West Side. Please understand the dynamics of the Upper West Side. The Upper West Side has 4 state senators that represent the Upper West Side. Brad Holloman from the Chelsea area comes up to the West Side. Brian Benjamin, who basically has Harlem, he comes up to the Upper West Side around Columbus, Central Park West, and other areas like that. And also Jose Serrano Jr., who basically has most of the South Bronx and Spanish Harlem, he comes up to the Upper West Side. And myself, I represent parts of Chelsea, Midtown, Upper West Side, Manhattan Valley, West Harlem, Washington Heights, Inwood, and up to Marble Hill, 13 miles long, a very gerrymandered district. But I say to you, now most of you live on Upper West Side. So on Upper West Side, especially up around, Zabars and above, I represent a lot of the Upper West Side. And in fact, my areas on Upper West Side, you should know, it is West End Avenue, parts of Riverside Drive, parts of Broadway, and then about 11 to 12 blocks, only the west side of Amsterdam Avenue. So, and literally, I have to always look at a map in order to see whether or not I represent the area. We hope to change that in 2021. And I say that because when I talked about how powerful the mayor is, whoever the mayor is, the governor is very, very powerful. And in fact, in order to override a governor's veto, so let's assume the vacancy tax bill, where Linda Rosenthal and myself, and both the assembly, and you should know, because part of what I do is education, there's 150 members of the New York State Assembly, and 107 of those members, like Linda coming in now, they have a majority to override a governor's veto. And the New York State Senate, we do not have enough to override a governor's veto. We have 40 Democrats, and we need at least 2 more to override a veto, but reality, you need about 4 more. So I say that to you, that's important in the process, because I believe that we will pass these bills, and especially if you say in the bill that any city that has more than 1 million people, and there's only one city in New York State that has more than 1 million people, that's New York City. But that's the way they couch it. So our bill will have a vacancy tax of 1%, and there are exceptions to that. For example, if you're the owner, I'm going to stop in 1 minute, I'm sorry. If you're the owner and you are really trying to rent your stores, then there's an exception to that. But you have to show that you are really trying to rent it and not hold it out. With that, I'm going to stop. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come in front of you. We have Scott Stringer here, and Linda Rosenthal and Hella Rosenthal.